when you've got, some of you maybe haven't noticed this over here, but this is actually some of the social content that's starting to come through, and so discussions, right? So there's some conversations now on the web. There's blog postings that are happening around specifically store manager jobs. Updates. So this is the status stuff. So this is really cool, and some people don't know this exists yet. But when you go to Google, it's actually pulling in all the latest real-time search updates from across the web, and mostly Twitter. But you know, there's quite a few other areas that it'll come through. So it's really critical that when you go and push out content, that you tell the search engines what that content's about. So so if you're promoting a specific location, or you're promoting a specific job opportunity, or anything, you've got to make sure that you think about the keywords that are in that content or associated with that content. Otherwise, it makes it very difficult to search. And this is not dissimilar to the core strategies around pay-per-click advertising. Is what are the keywords people are using to go search for content, and then making sure your advertising show up there. So if someone goes and looks for something on Twitter, or searches something on Facebook, or searches something, if you create a Facebook fan page with a crazy acronym standing for your company, well, how do you expect them to ever find it? And if you don't know if it's specifically about jobs or careers, then essentially you may have really fancy language that you're trying to use around, you know, talent community, for example, but no one's searching on talent community. Everybody's searching for store manager plus location, or location plus job title, for example. So something just to keep in mind there. So seeking content inspiration. So social media content isn't just about status updates. It's certainly a component of it, but it's not the full thing. So by using your top keywords, and what I would suggest is searching for them on Google, Bing, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and social mentions. So let's say, for example, I was in let's say I was in the automotive space. So I'm going to search for automotive jobs, and let's say it's in Toronto. So we've got this, obviously you've got, you know, no surprise, guess what, you know, all the job boards are owning this. But now let's go look at anything that's happening around blogs. So what's being said around blogs? So there's a few things here. See, there's just some blog conversations. Let's look at some updates. It'll likely be job posts, but you can see your jobs at Tobico. There's Trainer Automotive. There's a Monster tweet. There's a LinkedIn job that came up, Product Manager Automotive. So again, when you think about, if you know what your keywords are, then you've got to be really intelligent around how you go make your content using those keywords show up in the applicable realm. So let's try another one here. Let's try grocery jobs, Toronto. So again, you've got a whole bunch of tweets, no surprise there. Let's go look if there's any blog information that's coming up. So fairly limited information there. Any discussions on the web. Here's one, jobs in Toronto, North York. What's a good place to get a first job? What jobs can 15-year-olds get in Ontario? That is a prime opportunity for a retailer to say, you know, hey, you can work at, you know, anywhere you like, and by the way, you know, here's our link to our careers page. We're hiring. So I guess what I'm hoping to get across to everyone is there's some very, very practical ways you can go and do this. And this little drop-down box on Google is just magical to go find great content to tweet and to go listen and to go and engage. All right. So I was just going to say what shows up, as I just showed you, video, comments, tweets. Actually, we'll do a grocery jobs Toronto. Let's see if any videos come up, right? So let's see what comes up here. So again, you may want to look for some inspiration on seeing what comes up on the videos, on the discussions, and so forth. So again, I think everybody gets the example, automotive mechanic, right? So maybe that's some interesting stuff. And then if you search your brand, for example, I keep on using Cal Tire because they're a huge fan of those guys. They got a whole bunch of content here from a variety of places. You can see their new Roll With Me content. tough to track. They sponsor some things. So again, maybe there's some great content that already on the web for you. I'll show you. You know, one of the interesting was there was a Loblaws. There was a video here. There's the William Shatner video from like the 1970s, you know. So there's some neat content that already exists about your brand on YouTube that you may want to go look at for inspiration to share out. So I'll just go. So anyways, I hope that was helpful. So the whole point is there's a ton of content ideas out there. You don't have to have a team of people dreaming up the next huge viral hit for YouTube. You can actually go and leverage a lot of the content that's already available. So the next piece here is understanding your frequency ecosystem, and I think this is a huge mistake that a lot of people make. So here's the recommendations that are fairly well recognized on the web and as far as the social media experts go on how to use this stuff. Twitter, kind of 5 times a day. Facebook, two updates a day or 2 pieces of content a day. If you've got an employment blog, which I highly recommend you look at, 3 times a week is kind of the max you can go do it, and 1 email campaign a week. So this is really critical here because I'm going to show you how this all cascades into very effective information. So testing and tracking. So let's create a piece of content, and let's consider your first rung as we go back here, a Twitter, Facebook, a blog, and then email campaigns are your four rungs of social media, quote-unquote, outposts. So the first thing is create a piece of content, right? Remember to use your key phrases. So what if you create a Twitter page and you've got, let's say you've got 100 followers, and you go, let's say you've got a job opportunity in Fort McMurray. So let's say on Monday you go create that piece of job content and you write different ways 5 times. And that's maybe one way to look at it. Now what you'd want to do is post it on Twitter, which is your first level. And I highly recommend there's 2 tools you can use this. You can either use Hootsuite, which is fairly well recognized and it's a tool that we use, or you can use Bitly. And what these tools do is it gives you a link. So when you say, I want to go tweet this job or I want to go tweet this piece of content, these tools actually tell you how many click-throughs you had for that post. So really simply is you're able to go and put up different pieces of content, or maybe you got 5 different tweets that have to do with different types of things, and test it and to actually see which one was most popular. The one that was most popular, so let me just go back here. So test and track. So basically the first step here is use Hootsuite or use Bitly, and I'll show you really quickly what Hootsuite looks like because it's the tool that we use. What it does is basically goes and it tracks everything that you've got. It gives you your home feed. You can add multiple different Twitter feeds, and this is again a free tool. And you can see any mentions about specific clients or your content, and then you've got let's see here, and then you've got some information. So you see here someone, hey, this is a retail Twitter page or job page, and it's got anything in Coquitlam, right? So so there's some interaction going on there. But this is a great tool to kind of use to go to track what's working well. And then Bitly, which I won't show, as I'm sure you've seen the links before, but it's just Google bit.ly, and there's a great little tool there that you can get for free to be able to go and post your content out to Twitter and even to Facebook to track your click-throughs. So tweak and repurpose. So the whole concept of tracking this is, okay, that's great, so we know this one got 10 clicks, this one got 5 clicks. Now what you want to do is you want to take your content pieces that were most successful on your first rung, which is Twitter, and appropriately tweaked and redeployed on your second rung, which is Facebook. So what was your best content on Twitter, and then take your best content that was most relevant and start pushing that out to Twitter, so or to Facebook. As we mentioned, you can do 5 tweets a day, and then on average kind of 2 tweets a day on Facebook. So you would, or 2 status updates. So you put 5 up on Monday on Twitter, you put them on Facebook on Tuesday. A really simple way to do it. So test and track, again, using Hootsuite or Bitly. Add your best content to your blog. So now you've got Bitly or Hootsuite in place for Facebook. So you've done 2 status updates for the week, or maybe on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you've done 6 pieces of content. And as I go back, and I just want to, Twitter 5 times a day, Facebook 2 times a day, blogging 3 times a week, and then finally email campaigns 1 week. So take your best content of your last 2 or 3 days from your Facebook page that was most well read and most clicked through, and then make sure your blog's got that. And then finally, look at your best blog content and add that to the newsletter. So by understanding how your various social outposts can work together at a content level, you could really build some meaningful efficiency. So instead of just blasting stuff out on all these posts, start to really think through, and this is part of the listening, right? It's one thing to listen about your brand, but you've also got to track and measure and listen to what people are actually retweeting and what they're actually clicking through. Content consumption. One second here. Okay, so sorry, we just thought we were off air there for a second, but I guess everybody can see it. Content consumption is different for each outpost, so it's not the same everywhere that you go. So you may have different information on Twitter and different ways to write this content. So people basically consume this information in a different fashion. So different people, although there's going to be some crossover in your different social media outposts, is people some people will love the status updates more, some people will love the blog more, some people will like the weekly email campaign. So it really varies. Everyone's different. And the final point that I want to make is just jump into this stuff. And the ones that are on the fence, you to test some of this stuff out. And for those of you who aren't even using Twitter at this point, I think it's something that you need to get on right away. And again, I really see very little risk. Now, there's some policies and so forth you can put in place, but the first thing you can do is set up either Workshare or use the tool Social Mention and start listening to your brand, especially if you're launching new campaigns in certain regions or you're spending a lot of money on recruitment advertising. You want to know how that investment is paying off. So the simple first step is just start listening to one of those tools, and if you're brave enough, share great content that people are saying about you. Either send them a thanks or share that content on your specified Twitter or Facebook career pages. So the final one, and I'm actually curious on this because there's been a huge buzz, and this isn't a plug for Mindfield Group because this isn't our core business by any means, but I'm curious just to get the perspective on the people on the call here if they've considered looking at outsourced social media brand management. So I'm going to just pop this poll, and I just want to see what the overall feedback is on this. Okay, we're just waiting for some more votes coming in. Just got a couple more seconds here. Okay, great. So I'm gonna shut this down. But basically, the feedback here, and obviously the three answers. We had 15% of you said yes, you've considered it. 70% of you said no, not yet, and then 15% of you said never will build this in-house. So just great to understand, and because I know this is getting to be a hotter and hotter service on the web, and I know some of the job boards are starting to offer it. We offer it out as part of our overall solution, but it's starting to become really hot, and I think we're about 12 months away from companies having to make a decision on what do they do in regards to social media, because not doing anything will no longer kind of be good enough. So just curious on that, and just for the people on the call, I hope that was somewhat valuable for you. So I'm just going to go in here now and likely pass it back to Jerry. And I'm just going to go, again, follow up here. Thank you very much for your time. I hope that was extremely valuable with some specifics. And we're going to open it up with some questions here. And I'll pass it over to Jerry.
Thanks, Cameron. It's one of the great things about working here at Mindfield Group is I continue to learn something every day from this gentleman. Some great content there, and for many of us, I think a lot of new services and web applications to explore. For those of you where the content moved quite quickly and you're hoping that you can take a look at this again, we will be sending out the recorded version of this webinar to everyone that's on the call today. And we also want you to stay tuned. We do these once a month, and we'd like we'd like you to join us again. We've got new content in July. Don't